Welcome everybody to a new episode of Tradomics. In today's video, we analyze Enphase Energy. This is a stock that has not been analyzed previously, so it's the first time. Therefore, we have to start framing the chart a little bit back in time, since this high that occurred on the 5th of December 2022. As usual, we're going to use the T cycle analysis, a methodology that is based on the different duration of the cycles. And if you want to know more, you can click on the pop-up button on the right-hand side and get access to the video introduction to the T cycle analysis. My name is Dario, and if you want to be notified about our videos that are regularly issued on the US stock exchange, but not only that, because we also analyze the US indexes and some European stocks, then you can click on to subscribe it and get notified as soon as possible. So we start with the top, as previously said, that occurred on the 5th of December 2022, in which we had the first yearly upward T plus 5 or yearly cycle that has had this shape here. So if we gauge the time that occurred in between, we have 266 days, which is almost a median duration, which is encompassed between 190 and 338 days. In this case, the upward yearly cycle has been negative because the top in which it ended was lower compared to the top from which it started. And this yearly upward cycle has been divided in the first T plus 4 or 6-month cycle and the second T plus 4 6-month cycle. You can always check the time. So in this case, with the first T plus 4, we have at 152 days, which is basically a duration that is between 94 and 168 days. And the second 6-month cycle has had a duration of 113 days. And if we apply the Matryoshka effect, you will see that you can frame the chart with subcycles um, that are little ones. This is the first T plus 3 3-month cycles and the second T plus 3 3-month cycle. Then we have the third T plus 3 and the fourth T plus 3, so 3-month cycles, and so on and so on. So this is just an example of what has happened from 2022, end of 2022, until end of 2023. So this is also a calendar yearly cycle. Now, having said that, we always have to look also at the downward cycles, which basically is the other flip of the coin. So from this low, we have had the beginning of the T plus 5, which has had this shape, and in this case was negative because the low from which it ended was lower compared to the low from which it started. And this cycle has had a duration of 200, even here, 264 days. So basically, we have had a specular situation in terms of time between the upward yearly cycle and downward yearly cycles. And you can also see here that the beginning of the T plus 5 downward cycle has allowed at the beginning of a T plus 6 or 7, but we can also say T plus 5, which is a degree less. And here, the beginning of a new T plus 5 has led also the beginning of the upward T plus 5. So you see also there is a certain specular situation, T plus 5, T plus 5, T plus 4, T plus 4, T plus 3, T plus 3, and so on. Now, if we start looking at what has happened from 2023 onwards, here we frame the chart as following. First of all, regarding the downward cycles, we have reached a total duration of 188 days, which is not even the minimum duration for the closing of a T plus 5, 190 days. This T plus 5 downward cycle has been divided in the first T plus 3 month cycles, the second T plus 3 month cycles, and now here we have the evidence with this law occurred on the 2nd of July 2024 that we have at least the beginning of a T plus 3, if not a T plus 4. This is a T plus 3 or T plus 4 because the total duration of the bars that are higher compared to this law are 2023. So basically we have the duration, so the number of bars that are higher compared to the level of reference, which is $95.21, to say that this cycle here at the moment is at least a T plus 3, but even a T plus 4. You need to have a certain number of bars higher to the low from which a cycle started to basically define it as a T plus 3 or T plus 4. And the rule is, and if you go to the introduction to the T-cycle analysis, is that you need to have the duration of a 2 degrees less. So if this is a T plus 3, we need a T plus 1. So at least 13 bars over the low from which it started to say this is a T plus 3. So every cycle needs to have the duration of the bars higher compared to a low of reference of 2 degrees less. So in this case, we have not just the minimum of 13 days, but we have almost 24 days, so T plus 2. And the T plus 2 can also be or define the beginning of a T plus 4. Like in this case, in the upward cycle, we have had 30 bars, so 30 bars lower compared to this top. Therefore, here from this top, we have the evidence that there is a T plus 4 that was created. Okay, now the thing is, if we want to know more about the future direction of the price, we have to carefully monitor two things. First of all, we have now 23 bars. So basically, we have not even the minimum duration of a T plus 2. So what it might happen here is that we can complete a T plus 2 because now we have reached a total duration of 22 bars out of 24. And therefore, we are about to close at T plus 2, but we haven't reached the minimum duration. Therefore, the expectation is that we might go lower. So let's zoom in. We might go lower to this low, which was signed yesterday at $103.31 to close the T plus 2. Okay, so to close the first downward cycle T plus 2. We have at now a duration of 9 bars out of 11 for a weekly downward cycle. So from Monday onwards, we have two possibilities, two chances to go down and 9 chances to go up, statistically speaking. But given that now we are reaching the minimum duration of a T plus 2, we might also have the first impulse to the downside to close the T plus 2 and then further back up. What is important now to note is the following. In order to better understand where the price can go for the next days or weeks, we have to carefully monitor two price levels. The first one is here with this wing at $122.95. And the second one is this. So this one actually is so this swing will be critical if broken for an impulse to the upside here, and we put the arrow in green, or vice versa. This low will be a triggering point, so the break of this low will be a triggering point to proceed to the downside. Why that? Because here we have a T plus 3. So if this low will be broken, and now we have reached a total duration of 23 days. So if in the next weeks this low will be broken, basically the cycle will turn into negative. And once it's turned into a negative cycle, then we can expect that the future direction of the price will be just to the downside until the minimum duration of this T plus 3, which is basically 48 days. So we need to basically see in the next days where the price will go. So if the price in the next days or weeks will go lower to this point, we will need to calculate how many days will this T plus 3 have, so that we will calculate for how many days again we will have a downtrend. And the same will be here. So as this is a T plus 2, in case we will have the return of the price back to this top and it will be broken before its minimum duration of 24 days, then we would expect also a rise of the price back to the top, to this first top, and then even beyond. But this, it's something that we will have to calculate once the price will break either this swing or this swing. At the moment, there are no particular indication regarding where the price will move, except, as said before, we are now in a situation where we have 9 days out of 11 to complete a weekly cycle. Here we can also mention that we have a weekly cycle. So by Monday, 2 possibilities to further go down, and the rest will be 9 chances to go up. So we have to see whether we have the close of this weekly cycle and then a new weekly cycle will start, or if the HFT or high frequency trading will push further the price back to the downside and go lower to this swing at $102.30 before having the pushback to the upside for a new weekly cycle. So this is the situation so far. So be careful to these two level of prices and 2 possibilities to go down on Monday out of 9 to go back up. Thanks for watching and see you to the next episode.